Hi guys, it's going to be an extension of the first video that we have made where you have went through probably regarding the business terms or the agency owner terms. So the terms that I'm about to tell now, it's going to be a little bit of intermediate unlike the last time. It was very basic level, but it had to be taken from the ground up. So these terms will require a calculator which I already have, and I'm going to be explaining in a very simple manner, because if it goes too complicated, ideally it had to be complicated, but I'll be explaining you first in a simple manner without any much formulas or without any much case studies or example. We'll just save it for another video. The purpose of this video is just for you to understand these terms. Now, the first term that we have is ARPC, which is average rate per client. Now, as it says, although it's not self-explanatory, because it is not how many clients you have, and it is definitely not how much money you're making, but it is a division between both among it. So let's take for example, you have been earning 4,000 and you have been earning that from four clients. Now the ARPC, so it is going to be thousand per client. So now we are just adding up the total value and we're dividing by the number of clients. But as you go forward, uh, the companies or the agencies will like to have a higher ARPC. I'll tell you why. Let's say there is one freelancer who is charging only for one client, he is charging $4,000. So now his ARPC is more like it's more than you having four clients and you taking the 4,000 from all of it, like when we sum up to it. And when this happens, you are spending your time for four clients and you're spending a lot of time there with four clients, but whereas one person, so he's just having the another freelancer, he's just having one client for that. So higher the ARPC, the better. So initially you can take the clients who pays very less and you can onboard more clients, but the ARPC will drop. That is not something you should be looking forward to in the long term. Now the second one is the most heard term, which is customer acquisition cost. So that is just a cost to acquire one new client. So let's say, for example, you have spent an ad, you have spent $200 on an ad, and you have got one client. Now the CAC is $200. So a lot of people would tell, I don't spend anything. I will be doing the outreach myself, and then I will be going ahead and getting the client. So my CAC is low, but that's not how it works. Let's take for an example, you charge 15 horse, $15 a horse, and you have spent around 5 hours by finding the client and sending proposal. I'm just giving an approximate. So now you have actually 15 into 5, so you have spent 55 uh, US dollars, $55 in order for you to get the client. So your time also counts here, the per hour rate also counts here. So that is the reason why everybody, including the CEOs, including the management, they keep a close eye on CAC, because if your product is not matching up with the CAC, then you're just burning out the money. So you should also always ensure that you keep the pricing based on the CAC. And if that is going up and the market remains the same, the profits remains the same, but cost acquisition is going up, then you have to change your strategy, because that's ideally not a good sign. So people will do the analysis based on this. So LTV is total money the client pays over time. That is lifetime value for a client. So it's called as lifetime value. So even if you're with a subscription, if the client is paying via the subscription and it is, for example, $1,000 a month and it is a 6 months contract, then you have to calculate LTV as 6,000. So that is just to keep an approximate on how much company is expected to earn in these timelines. And it will give an approximate, because if LTV is, let's say, 10,000 US dollars, but you're not getting that, then there must be something that is going wrong. So either the client is backing out, or the client is denying to pay, or the client is paying lesser. But either which ways, the LTV, if it's 100%, like it's not regarding the percentage, but if LTV what you have calculated is what you get, that means you're doing a really good job. So the churn rate is also something that you have to consider when it comes to retaining the clients over a long time. Because let's say you have 10 clients and two of them leave, then it's 20% churn rate. And but you have retained 80%. But either which ways, everybody will have their own churn rate that will be in the limits. Everybody will be having their own retention rate, and everybody will ensure to keep more retention than the churn. So clients who leave your agency is churn, and the clients who retain is again the retention. So if the retention is really good, so then there is always stability increase. Let's say last year two of clients leave, but right now nobody has left in this year 2026, and then the stability has increased by X amount of times. So that is the reason why it's very important, and it takes very less to retain an existing client than to acquire a new one. So the higher retention the rate, that is the key for the agency stability. No matter how many clients you're bringing, but if your retention rate is very low, then you're not able to be stable at all. And if you're not able to acquire new clients, then your agency collapse. So retention is very important even if you do not get new clients, but if you retain them, then ideally you're doing a very good job at what you do. What is scope creep? Scope creep happens and a lot of people ignore it, and we have ignored it in the initial stages. So let's say you're working with a client, and by the month third or month fourth, so he starts adding up additional work, and you slowly start taking up. So that is without the payment. You slowly start doing additional work. So the time will go, the employees' time would go, the cost would go a bit. So what is planned and what is the actual is what it is. So that's something you have to keep an eye on. But even if you don't, that's totally fine as long as the other metrics are in place. So what is a margin? Again, margin, we have discussed the profit margin percentage the last video. So it's how much you keep after you give to everybody. Let's say you pay for everybody and you keep, let's say, $500 to the company, then that is the margin. So there is a difference between margin percentage, the profit margin, and the margin, like the percentage. Bottleneck, you would have heard this term every now and then. And when it comes to bottleneck, you have to be discussing this among the co-founders or the founders or the management level people. Bottleneck is where you're coming and getting stuck. What is one point that's slowing down the entire operation? So let's say, for example, that I've taken, the founder has not approved a particular thing, and now that is delaying all the work. So it has been stalled. So what is the bottleneck? We have to always have a visibility on the bottleneck. So identifying bottleneck, it becomes very important sometimes, and that is the hardest part as well, most of the times. So you have to first identify it, and then you have to understand how to go ahead and solve it. So oftentimes the management people are the reason for the bottleneck. So this has to be solved by the leadership level itself. What is the capacity? We have already discussed this. How much workload can your team take? If there are two editors or two social media managers, they can take four projects each, and if they're taken entirely, then the capacity is met. But if they have taken half of what they're supposed to do, it's only 50%. So you have to always track it, like I have done it in the chart here. You have to always keep on tracking it. So how much capacity has being met? So if you can see if somebody is not having the right capacity levels, then you can put into internal project. So you have to always keep on checking it. So you have to understand how much before hiring itself, how much it would be, how much overload it would be, how much client project are we expecting, and how much retention level, how much clients are we planning to scale up. So everything is depending upon it, and the capacity can be calculated accordingly. What is the leverage? It's the most complex topic of all, but you don't need to get into a very deeper complexity. So you can just think that what you use to improve the output, but do the same amount of work. So oftentimes, if you're a freelancer, leverage is your time, and if you're running an agency, system is your time. So if you build a system, so that can get into a scalable business with you not having to invest much time than the original time that you used to invest, then you have increased your leverage. So the output has been increased, but you have the leverage. So that's the term that we discussed. So you can go ahead and check out the examples. Although it was a bit quick, like it was just like a revision, but the reason why I didn't get into much deeper, because there is no point in getting into it. So instead of focusing on these terms and then building your agency, Build your agency and learn accordingly. This is just for on top of your knowledge. So people, if they ask you what are these terms, or if people ask what is your customer acquisition cost, you must first understand the meaning and you must have the metrics ready. So, but trust me, we never knew these terms before we started this, and we still did it any which ways. So if you know what you're going to do, you're going to learn along the way. So don't focus on these terms, guys. Just focus on understanding what it is about. You don't need to study it as like a textbook studying. You don't need to do that at all. And I can guarantee you 100% you'll be able to learn it along the way, and you'll be able to learn it practically instead of just learning by the words. That's what I would suggest for you. And there would be part 3, but not in the next video. Part 3 would be done when, after certain videos, when we feel like these are the terminologies that you should know. Thank you, guys. Thank you.